If you've been around the truck world at all, you know that everybody's after more performance out of their engine. And nowhere is that more true than in the diesel world, where it's all about power and torque. So today we are turning up the heat on this brand new Ford F-250 Super Duty and building some serious power. But building some real serious power and not destroying a $45,000 truck is where it gets tricky. That's what we're going to show you today. Now, the kit that I'm using today is from Gale Banks Engineering, and it is called the 6-gun bundle. And it covers every aspect of building power into a diesel, from fuel system to air intake to exhaust. Now, the first piece we're going to look at is called the 6-gun. This is an electronic diesel tuner, and it tweaks your fuel system in 3 different ways. Number 1, it adjusts your injector pulse width, which is how long your injector stays open. Number 2 is your fuel pressure, which is how much fuel goes in while that injector is open. And number 3 is your fuel timing, and that is when that injector opens and closes. No other tuner on the market does those 3 things. Now, to control that, all you have to do is set it to one of the 6 different settings. And this allows you to dial in up to 120 extra horsepower and up to 220 foot-pounds of torque. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, that's great, but what about my transmission? It's not a problem, because this has the trans command built into it. Now that calibrates your fuel to your transmission line pressure, so it eliminates any slippage or damage, and that is a good thing. Best part is, though, this is really easy to put in. I'm going to show you. First, we'll remove the battery cover on the driver's side so we can get to the computer. Then, we'll find a location for our 6-gun tuner. Now right up here, behind this power steering reservoir, is the perfect place on a Ford Power Stroke. Then all we have to do is plug in our harnesses. Now don't be nervous here. Notice these harnesses have different ends on them, so they're only going to plug into the socket they're supposed to go. So you can't mess them up. We'll finish it up by bringing our supplied harness over here to the passenger side and plugging it in to the map sensor. That'll take care of our hookups under the hood. Now we're ready to go in the cab. Okay, what you're after now is a place to mount your selector switch. Now, of course, you can put this anywhere you want, but Banks recommends putting it up in this area here so it's nice and clean and out of the way. Of course, you've got the choice of this side or over here on the other side, and they also include a little paper template to show you where to drill. However, to do that means that this dash cover has got to come out. So, first thing we'll do is take these tools that also come with the kit, and those are for removing that factory Ford radio. Then just pop off the dash cover. And finally, drill your holes and mount the switch. All right, now this next piece, this is for you hot rodder guys, and this is called the Banks Speed Loader. Now this little guy plugs right into the wiring harness coming down from your selector switch, and it will give you an extra 30 horsepower when you use it with this 6-gun system. This is a nice little surprise to have sitting in your glove box when you go to the drag strip. Or you can just leave it plugged up all the time, so, you know, for when you're towing a trailer or pulling up next to a Camaro or, you know, things like that. Now, you may have noticed I've already got some gauges installed here on the A-pillar. Now that is because when we're doing these kind of modifications, you need some gauges so you can keep in touch with what your engine's doing. Now what we're using is exhaust temperature, turbo boost, and transmission temperature. Now you've seen me install these pods before in the past. They're just a matter of putting them in place with these plastic rivets and then running your wiring. Now your transmission temperature and your turbo boost is just a matter of hooking up some wires. This exhaust temperature, it's a little more involved than that. Let me show you what I mean. With the driver's side front tire removed, pull out the inner fender well. Now make sure you don't destroy the hardware because you're going to have to reuse it. Now reach in and unbolt the driver's side exhaust manifold. Of course, that's easier said than done. This manifold is not the easiest thing to get to, but just keep working with it, you'll be able to get it out. Next, you need to drill and tap a hole in the manifold. Finally, install the pyrometer probe into the manifold. All right, what this pyrometer probe does is takes a reading of your exhaust gas temperature before it goes into the turbo, which is a lot more accurate than if you take it after the turbo. Now, the reason the manifold has to come off is when you drill and tap for this fitting, all these metal shavings are going to be in this manifold, which means they're going to go right into your turbo and it's going to destroy it, which is not a pretty sight. So, not only does the manifold need to come off, but you need to make sure it is squeaky clean before you put it back on. Now all you have to do is button it all back up, hook up a few wires, and that is it. You have added some serious reliable power to the tune of about 150 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque. Now I know some of you are like, oh man, that's not enough, I want more. Well, we're going to get it for you by doing something to that air intake after the break.
Next on Trucks, Stacey goes about showing you how to get a diesel engine to really suck. In a good way. Yep, he's digging into the intercooler. And later, all this work comes to a showdown as he puts the bank's 6-gun on the line and makes a few of his own too.
Thanks to you, Trucks is the most watched truck show anywhere, right here on Spike TV, the first network for men.
Welcome back to Trucks. Now, today's project is a brand new Ford F-250 and it's packing the Power Stroke diesel. Now the goal here is to pull as much power out of this thing as we can and not tear something up in the meantime. Now you've seen me do similar projects to this on the Dodge Cummins and the Chevy Duramax diesels. Today it's the Ford's turn. Now we've already put on over 150 extra horsepower and over 260 extra foot-pounds by putting on a diesel tuner from Gale Banks Engineering. But that's not enough. It's never enough. So we're going to do something about that air intake. Okay, your Ford Power Stroke already comes with an intercooler, and this is what it looks like. Now you might be thinking, oh man, that looks just like a radiator, and it does, but there is no fluid flowing through here. Here's what's going on. It takes hot compressed air from your turbo, flows through the intercooler where it's cooled down, and then it exits out into your intake manifold. Of course, cooler air is more dense, and that means more power. Now, the way we're going to help our truck out in this area, we're going to put on a much bigger intercooler from Gale Banks. It's thicker, and it has redesigned end tanks and bigger outlets. This will give us better cooling. Now, to go with that, we also have bigger inlet and outlet tubes, a much bigger intake manifold, and this will give us more flow, this will give us more volume, and it all equals more power. This is how to put it in. The first thing we'll do is get rid of this rubber shroud so we can see where our intercooler is. And there it is, buried with a radiator on this side and a cross member over the top and oil coolers down in front and air conditioning condenser. Wait, come on back here. It's not that tough. You don't have to take all this stuff out. You can lift it out through the top, and that's what we're going to do. So first we'll make some reference marks around our hood latch and remove it. Then unbolt the air conditioning condenser and the two radiator support brackets, followed by the radiator support cross member, and finally, with everything disconnected, remove the original intercooler. Now you see, it wasn't as hard as you thought it was going to be, was it? Now, installing this new Banks cooler is just a matter of sliding it in place and bolting it all back together. With the new cooler in place, it's time to do something about these stock boost tubes and this intake manifold. And that means get them out of there. The new manifold just slides into place over the supplied studs and then just bolts on. Then we'll connect the new inlet tube to the intercooler and the manifold using the special Banks connectors. The other boost tube also just slides into place, but you will need to do just a little trimming of the corner of this fan shroud and also the battery box so that big old tube will fit in that engine compartment. Now that takes care of the air intake. The only thing left to do is exhaust. I'm going to take care of that in just a few minutes.
After the break, it's high noon for the big Ford diesel as it clashes with Stacey's heavy right foot to see if the 6-gun is all it's cracked up to be. This will definitely make your day.
Welcome back to our Ford Power Stroke project and the quest to pull some hidden horsepower out of that big diesel engine. Now, the kit that we're using is from Gale Banks Engineering. It's called the 6-gun bundle, and it includes an electronic diesel tuner, a bigger intercooler plus boost tubes and manifold, and finally, this big 4-inch monster exhaust system that I'm just finishing up. Now, since it's kind of hard to see up under this truck, we're going to show you why it's called the monster exhaust system over here on the floor. Okay, one look at that huge 4-inch stainless steel pipe, and it's pretty obvious why Gale Banks calls this the monster exhaust system. But it's more than just big pipe. Now, this is a well-engineered exhaust system. First of all, you have a new turbine outlet pipe with a resonator. This goes in front of your catalytic converter. Then your stock catalytic converter goes here. Got to keep that to stay legal. And then behind that is a catback system. Now, a couple things worth noticing here. All your mounting hangers are welded right to the pipe. You've got a big stainless steel muffler to give us the flow and the sound that we're after. 4-inch pipe continues all the way to the end where you have a big polished tip. Now, the best thing about this system, though, is how easy it is to put in. It just slides into place. Well, that's it. It's all installed. So how does it perform? I thought you'd never ask. Now, every rubber slinger wants to leave their mark on the ground and in the notches on their steering wheel. But without the right equipment, you don't stand a chance. Now, level 1 of the Banks 6-gun is stock, so we pretty much left that alone. Levels 2 and 3 of the Banks 6-gun definitely brought the truck to life, with the engine gaining power with each step. This is definitely turning into a truck you could have some fun with and still tow your trailers. Level 4 is an extremely well-rounded setting, providing plenty of power for towing and hauling, but not so much as to shred your tires. Level 5 is when the truck really starts to feel like a hot rod, and a hard takeoff will definitely plant you in the seat. And the power band, once the turbo spools up, is fantastic. Tire wear is starting to become an issue. Level 6 is the big gun. At this point, there's no mistaking that you're in a hot rod. When the turbo spools up and you hit that power band, you better be holding on to something. The huge torque crams you into the seat and your tires become rotating smoke bombs that just burn up and blow away. This is fantastic. So, if you're into diesels and you want to be packing the biggest gun on the block and still be able to ride off into the sunset, well, you need to give Gale Banks a call.